The Deathworlders who revolutionized everything, HFY sci-fi stories. In the vast, uncharted reaches of the galaxy, species across countless star systems watched with intrigue and skepticism as a new race emerged on the galactic stage. They were known as the Deathworlders, a name that both terrified and fascinated the many civilizations in the cosmos. These beings were born on a planet where life itself fought to survive, Earth. Their planet was a battleground, where the creatures were constantly engaged in brutal struggles for survival, where the environment was as hostile as the predators that roamed its surface. But the Deathworlders had not only survived this cruel world, they had thrived. Chapter 1: The Arrival. The first sign that something had changed came when the Deathworlders began to explore the stars. It started as an isolated effort, small, experimental missions, barely noticeable to the more advanced species of the galaxy. But that changed when they sent a signal, an invitation of sorts, to the galactic community. The message was simple but profound: we are the humans. We have seen the stars and we want to join them. At first, the other species dismissed the humans as a curiosity, a species that had barely left their homeworld. They were primitive, after all, with no remarkable technology, no mind-bending abilities. But there was something about them, something that made the other species uneasy. The Deathworlders had a reputation, a terrifying one. They were survivors. Their entire history was a testament to their ability to conquer impossible odds, against every form of adversity, from predators far more powerful than themselves to environments that could kill them within minutes. They had thrived. The more advanced civilizations in the galaxy had never encountered a species like them. When the humans arrived at their first Galactic Council meeting, they came with a simple request: to be accepted as equals. And to everyone's surprise, the humans made a single, striking declaration: we will change everything. Chapter 2: The Revolution. At first, the galactic leaders were skeptical. How could a species that had barely mastered the art of space travel compete with the minds of the ancient and powerful species in the room? But it wasn't their technology that caused the biggest stir, it was their mentality. The Deathworlders had evolved in an environment where every day was a fight for survival, where they had to adapt, innovate, and evolve faster than their predators. This mindset, this relentless drive to push the boundaries of what was possible, permeated everything they did. They introduced concepts the galaxy had never considered before: open-source technology, unified collaboration across species, and most importantly, a shared vision of the future. For millennia, the galaxy had been divided, with each species fighting for its own interests, often at the expense of others. But the Deathworlders saw something different: a galaxy united by mutual respect, with each species contributing its strengths to the collective whole. The humans shared their knowledge freely, not hoarding it as many civilizations did, but offering it up to all willing to listen. They revolutionized energy production, allowing star systems to harness the power of their own suns more efficiently. They shared agricultural innovations that could feed entire populations on planets with hostile climates. And they devised technologies that could repair dying ecosystems, revitalizing entire worlds. But it wasn't just their technology that made the Deathworlders so influential. It was their culture, a culture built on overcoming adversity, on never giving up, on pushing the limits of what was possible. Where other species had become complacent, satisfied with the status quo, the humans inspired everyone around them to think bigger, to challenge the very foundations of their understanding. The Deathworlders brought a new philosophy: adapt or perish. It wasn't just about surviving, it was about evolving, pushing past boundaries, and always striving for a better future. Chapter 3: The Challenge. As their influence grew, the Deathworlders began to reshape the galactic order. But not everyone was pleased with the changes. The ancient species, those who had ruled the stars for eons, saw the humans rise as a threat to their power. They conspired to push back, to ensure that the Deathworlders' revolution would not succeed. They launched a covert campaign, undermining human initiatives, spreading misinformation, and even sabotaging their projects. But the humans were undeterred. They were used to adversity. The more the galaxy pushed back, the harder they fought. What the other species failed to realize was that this was precisely what made the Deathworlders so formidable. Every setback only fueled their determination. And they had something that no one else did: a profound belief in their own potential. The humans did not just believe they could change the galaxy, they knew they would. And so, the revolution continued. Chapter 4: The New Era. In time, the resistance crumbled. The Deathworlders' influence became undeniable. Their innovations had brought prosperity to worlds that had once been struggling, had united species that had once been at war, and had opened the minds of those who had been unwilling to adapt. But the most profound change of all was something that could not be measured in technology or military strength. It was a shift in mindset. The Deathworlders had awakened something within the galaxy, a new sense of possibility. For the first time in galactic history, the idea of a unified future seemed within reach, and the Deathworlders, with their relentless drive and unshakable resolve, had shown everyone that anything was possible. Epilogue: The Legacy. Years passed, and the Deathworlders continued to shape the future of the galaxy. They had transformed it, not with weapons or war, but with their belief in the power of unity and innovation. The galaxy was no longer a fractured collection of competing species. It was a coalition of civilizations, each working toward a common goal, the betterment of all. The Deathworlders had indeed changed everything. And as the stars shimmered across the vast expanse of space, they knew one thing for certain: no matter how many challenges the future held, they were ready, for they were the Deathworlders, and they had survived the impossible, together. Chapter 5: The Rise of New Allies. As the Deathworlders' influence spread, other species began to adopt their revolutionary methods. One of the first to join this new era were the Zelther, a race of reptilian beings whose homeworld had once been a hostile jungle filled with dangerous creatures. The Zelther had always been a fiercely individualistic species, reluctant to trust outsiders. However, after seeing the humans' success in forging unity between different races, they slowly began to open up. They adapted the Deathworlders' philosophy of collaboration, and in doing so, the Zelther found new ways to overcome the challenges of their environment. Together with humans, they began to develop new technologies to terraform inhospitable planets and create safe, sustainable living conditions on worlds previously deemed uninhabitable. Soon after, the Lumiere, a delicate, ethereal race of light-based beings from the gas giant Valaris, came to recognize the wisdom in the Deathworlders' approach. While their civilization had flourished in its own right, their advancements had been limited by the isolation they had imposed on themselves. The Lumiere, who had long relied on their ability to manipulate light for communication and energy, now started to embrace the idea of resource sharing and collaborative learning. Their alliance with humans unlocked new methods of energy storage and light manipulation, creating a bright future for not only their own species but also their allies. But it wasn't just technological advances that the humans brought to the table. It was also a new way of thinking, a new approach to problem-solving that valued not only intelligence but empathy. The Koroth, a race known for their immense strength but short tempers, had long been known as the galaxy's enforcers, wielding power and fear. With human diplomacy and guidance, they learned to channel their aggression into purposeful endeavors, leading them to transform from warriors into protectors and builders. Their own people benefited from this shift, as they began to foster cooperation instead of conflict. Across the galaxy, these once isolated species were now united, all working together in a grand project of prosperity. The Deathworlders had not just revolutionized the galaxy, they had transformed it into a model of collective evolution. Chapter 6: A Dark Threat. But change, especially at this scale, was never without its risks. As the Deathworlders' influence grew, so did the number of voices that opposed them. One such voice came from the Drachtar, a cold, calculating species of conquerors that had long ruled their corner of the galaxy through sheer power and fear. The Drachtar were infamous for their domination of weaker species, and they saw the human-led revolution as a direct challenge to their authority. Under the leadership of their ruthless commander, Vaskor, the Drachtar launched a campaign to destabilize the growing alliances. They began attacking weaker systems, spreading propaganda to sow distrust, and attempting to divide the races that had once united under the banner of progress. The Deathworlders did not respond with fear or retreat, as other species might have expected. Instead, they leaned into the very philosophies they had advocated: unity, collaboration, and unyielding resolve. Every attack by the Drachtar only galvanized the people of the galaxy further. They rallied behind the humans, who inspired a resistance like none the galaxy had ever seen. The war was not one of brute force alone. The Deathworlders and their allies used ingenuity and diplomacy to turn the tide. Where the Drachtar relied on overwhelming strength, the humans and their coalition relied on unity, innovative strategies, and the shared strength of their diverse species. Chapter 7: The Crucial Moment. The war raged for years, and it became clear that the galaxy was on the brink of a new, defining moment. As the Deathworlders pushed back against the Drachtar forces, they came to realize that it was not simply military power that would win the war, it was a return to the very ideals that had sparked the revolution in the first place, the belief that survival was not a solitary endeavor but one rooted in cooperation. In the final confrontation between the Deathworlders and the Drachtar, the humans' greatest strength shone through. Rather than engaging in a brutal, all-out assault, the Deathworlders staged a daring mission to infiltrate the Drachtar command center. Using their diverse skills, they were able to outwit and outmaneuver their enemies, shutting down the Drachtar's war machine from the inside. At the same time, the coalition forces led by the humans launched a counteroffensive that cut off Drachtar reinforcements. The Drachtar were left isolated, with their forces fractured and demoralized. The moment of victory came when Vaskor, realizing the futility of his campaign, was offered an ultimatum by the Deathworlders: lay down arms and join the United Galaxy or face destruction. Vaskor, once a conqueror who believed in the strength of his people alone, looked upon the galaxy and saw the vast web of alliances that now stretched across it. He realized that his vision of domination could not stand against a force built on unity, and reluctantly, he accepted the terms. Chapter 8: A New Beginning. The fall of the Drachtar marked the final stage of the Deathworlders' revolution. The galaxy had been transformed, not through domination or violence, but through cooperation, resilience, and the indomitable will of the Deathworlders to create a better future for all. In the years that followed, a new era dawned, one of peace and collaboration, a new age of exploration and shared prosperity. The once divided civilizations now worked together to explore the deepest reaches of the galaxy, uncovering ancient mysteries and seeking out new worlds to bring into the fold. With each new discovery, they strengthened the bonds between their species, and the legacy of the Deathworlders lived on. It was said that the Deathworlders had not just changed everything, they had taught the galaxy something invaluable, that survival is not the end, but the beginning. The galaxy had evolved, not simply into a collection of species, but into a united community, one that could face any challenge, together. And as the stars glittered overhead, a new generation of Deathworlders looked toward the horizon, knowing that the revolution was far from over. For there would always be something new to overcome, and with it, a new opportunity to evolve. Chapter 9: The Heart of the Cosmos. As peace settled across the galaxy, the once chaotic stars began to gleam with newfound hope. The Deathworlders, now respected as leaders, had succeeded in creating a galaxy bound together by ideals that transcended species, language, and the very fabric of the universe itself. But while they had won a war against division, their greatest challenge still loomed on the horizon: maintaining the unity they had fought so hard to create. The problem was not external. No longer was the galaxy threatened by warlords or cruel conquerors like the Drachtar. The real issue was subtle, insidious: the temptation of complacency. Though many of the galaxy's species had embraced the Deathworlders' message of cooperation, innovation, and shared progress, old habits were hard to break. There were still factions within species that wished to reclaim lost power, still old rivalries lurking beneath the surface, and even remnants of those who clung to isolationism and mistrust. It was in this delicate environment that the Deathworlders were about to face their greatest trial, not an enemy at their gates, but the very fragility of the peace they had forged. The central hub of the galaxy, known as the Heart of the Cosmos, became the focal point of these challenges, a massive space station built in the wake of the Drachtar defeat. The Heart was a neutral zone, home to the new Galactic Council, where representatives from every species now met to discuss the future. It was a place for diplomacy, debate, and decision-making, an embodiment of the revolution that the Deathworlders had sparked. But cracks were beginning to form: minor conflicts between planets, unchecked power grabs by individual factions, and the resurgence of old separatist ideologies threatened to undermine the fragile peace. The Deathworlders knew that to preserve the unity they had worked so hard to build, they would need to do more than simply stand guard. They needed to inspire again. They needed to demonstrate that the ideals that had transformed the galaxy were not just theoretical constructs, but living, breathing principles that required constant renewal. Chapter 10: The Trial of Unity. To address the growing tensions, a summit was convened at the heart of the cosmos. Representatives from every species, from the smallest insectoid lifeforms to the mighty multi-armed Tarlon, gathered in the vast council chambers, hoping to settle their disputes in a way that wouldn't threaten the fragile peace. The Deathworlders, led by Admiral Mara Kovacs, the brilliant human strategist who had played a key role in the war, sat at the head of the table. Though the Deathworlders had proven themselves indispensable in the previous conflict, the true test had always been peace. Could the lessons they had learned from war, resilience, cooperation, and an unshakable will to survive, translate to the challenges of peace? The summit started peacefully enough, with each representative offering their perspectives on how to sustain the new order. But tensions soon flared. Long-held grudges between species began to resurface. The Tarlon, who had once been isolated and hostile, voiced concerns about losing their autonomy in the face of galactic unity. The Silthari, a race of intellectuals who had once dominated galactic academia, warned against giving too much power to the military influence of the Deathworlders, fearing it could lead to another form of tyranny. Even the humans, who had become the unifying force of the galaxy, began to feel the weight of the responsibility they had taken on. Admiral Kovacs found herself in an increasingly difficult position. The very values that had brought the galaxy together were now under threat by the seeds of doubt sown by those who feared change. The galaxy seemed to be teetering on the edge once again, and the question lingered, could the Deathworlders really change everything, or had they merely replaced one form of rule with another? Chapter 11: The Unthinkable Solution. It was in this volatile moment that a radical proposal came from an unlikely source. Jana Kessler, a young human diplomat who had risen quickly through the ranks in the post-war era. Jana was a relative newcomer to the galactic stage compared to the seasoned veterans of the Deathworlders' revolution. But she understood the power of what the Deathworlders represented, not just military prowess or technological innovation, but something much deeper. What if, she suggested, her voice clear and unwavering, the solution is not more power, but less? The room went silent. To the seasoned leaders, the very idea of relinquishing any form of power seemed impossible, but Jana's words hung in the air like a challenge. What if the way forward is not for one species to lead, but for all species to take the mantle of leadership in turn? What if the heart of the cosmos became a place not of power, but of service, a rotating council where leadership is shared by all, where each species gets its turn to guide the galaxy based on merit, not old alliances? Her idea was radical. It proposed not a fixed system of government, but one that would be fluid and responsive to the needs of all civilizations. Every species, from the smallest to the most powerful, would have a voice, and leadership would rotate to ensure no single group could dominate. It would be a challenge for the galaxy to adapt to such a system, but the idea was revolutionary. If the Deathworlders had shown the galaxy how to cooperate to overcome adversity, Jana Kessler was showing them how to do so without fear of domination, by embracing the true meaning of equality. Chapter 12: A New Age. The proposal was met with mixed reactions. Many were skeptical. Could such an untested system truly work? How could such a model maintain order in the face of inevitable chaos? The galaxy's unity was fragile, and some felt that a rotating leadership system would only cause more divisions. But the Deathworlders, those who had proven time and again that their strength came from the bonds they had forged, rallied behind the idea. Admiral Kovacs, seeing the merit in Jana's vision, supported the plan. The humans, who had so often been at the center of the galaxy's changes, were now willing to step back and allow the galaxy to evolve into something greater than any one species could lead. The council voted, and after much debate, the proposal passed. The heart of the cosmos would become a living example of the galaxy's new ideals, a place not of dominion, but of mutual service, where leadership shifted based on merit, wisdom, and need. It was the beginning of a new era. The Deathworlders had not simply changed everything, they had shown the galaxy that true power came not from domination, but from shared vision, humility, and the willingness to adapt. And as the stars burned brightly overhead, the galaxy took its first steps into an age where survival was not the goal, but the journey itself. A journey that would never end, as long as the Deathworlders' legacy of unity, perseverance, and evolution guided the way. Chapter 13, The Architects of Tomorrow. With the new system in place, the galaxy entered an unprecedented era of transformation. The heart of the cosmos, once a symbol of the galaxy's tenuous unity, now became a living monument to the very ideals the Deathworlders had fought for: shared responsibility, respect for all species, and the collective pursuit of a brighter future. The rotation of leadership was a concept that had never been attempted on such a grand scale. It was an experiment in trust, where each species took turns guiding the galaxy through its unique strengths. The humans, once the central force behind the revolution, were now simply one species among many, offering their wisdom and innovations but allowing others to take the helm. The Sci-Fi, with their unmatched intellect, led the first rotation, using their unparalleled understanding of science to solve the galaxy's most pressing environmental crises. The Zelther followed, drawing on their survivalist expertise to tackle planetary sustainability and bioengineering. The Tarlon, once feared for their warlike tendencies, now brought a new kind of peacekeeping force to the table. They used their strength to defend the weaker systems, standing as guardians for those unable to defend themselves, without once using their military might as an instrument of oppression. The Deathworlders, having proven their strength, now served as mediators, teaching others that power did not need to be wielded to control, but to protect and inspire. Under this rotating leadership system, the galaxy flourished. Each species brought new perspectives and solutions, making the galaxy more resilient, innovative, and harmonious. No longer were worlds isolated by fear or suspicion. Each species shared their resources, their knowledge, and their strengths. Even the Drachtar, once conquerors of vast territories, had embraced the Deathworlders' call for change, becoming an integral part of the new council as stewards of military strategy, helping to keep the peace and teach other races how to balance power with responsibility. But amidst this rapid progress, a new question began to emerge in the minds of the galaxy's leaders: what comes next? Chapter 14, The Forgotten Star. The answer came in the form of an ancient, mysterious message, a relic from the distant past. While the galaxy had worked to maintain its newfound peace, the Collier, a race of enigmatic, ancient explorers, made a startling discovery during their deep space travels. They uncovered a long-forgotten star system, once a thriving hub of culture and technology, but now completely abandoned. Its people, long lost to history, had vanished without a trace. The Collier's message reached the heart of the cosmos, sparking curiosity and trepidation across the galaxy. Who were these people, and why had they disappeared? What technologies or knowledge could be hidden within this lost system, and what dangers might they hold? The Galactic Council convened immediately, aware that this discovery had the potential to change the course of their collective future. The message contained a cryptic warning, suggesting that the lost civilization had fallen to their own hubris, their advancements had led to their downfall, and the remnants of their star system held the key to understanding both their rise and their fall. This was a challenge unlike any the galaxy had faced. It was not a war, nor a diplomatic crisis, but an existential question: could the galaxy avoid the same mistakes? Could they learn from the past, without repeating its tragedies? Chapter 15, The Search for Answers. The Deathworlders, with their proven resilience, were chosen to lead the first expedition to the abandoned system. Admiral Kovacs, now a symbol of the galaxy's unity and perseverance, took charge of the mission. She was joined by a diverse crew of explorers from all walks of life: humans, Tarlon, Sci-Fi, and even a representative from the newly integrated Drachtar. The journey to the Forgotten Star System was perilous. Hidden in the outer reaches of space, the system had long been abandoned, its planets stripped of life and resources. The team's first challenge was deciphering the star maps left behind by the long-lost civilization, which seemed intentionally cryptic, as though something, had gone to great lengths to hide their location. As the expedition pushed deeper into the system, they encountered a series of unexpected obstacles: ancient automated defenses, derelict structures that seemed to pulse with a forgotten energy, and strange phenomena that bent the very fabric of space and time. The galaxy's brightest minds struggled to unlock the secrets of the system, each new discovery leading to more questions. But the most chilling discovery came when they finally reached the heart of the system, the ruins of a once great planet that had been home to the lost civilization. Here, deep within the remains of their city, they uncovered an ancient archive, containing the civilization's last message before their fall. It was a warning. Chapter 16, The Final Lesson. The message from the lost civilization was brief, but it held the most profound lesson of all. The beings who had once thrived in this system had discovered the secrets of eternal power, unlimited energy, unstoppable technologies, and the ability to bend the very laws of the universe. But in their pursuit of these wonders, they had forgotten one crucial thing: balance. In their thirst for knowledge, they had consumed everything, leaving nothing in their wake but a dying star and a shattered world. Their innovations had surpassed their ability to control them, and so, their civilization fell, not to a war or a single catastrophe, but to their own unchecked ambition. The last warning was simple, yet profound: we reached too far. The stars are not ours to control. Remember, power, without balance, destroys all it touches. This revelation rocked the expedition to its core. The galaxy had learned many lessons from the Deathworlders' revolution, but now, they were confronted with the same ancient mistake. Could they, too, be seduced by the promise of limitless power? Could their quest for knowledge and progress lead them down the same path of destruction? Chapter 17, The Path Forward. Admiral Kovacs stood before the Galactic Council once more, this time with a message more critical than ever before. The discovery of the lost civilization, with its tragic end, had taught them something essential: they had to be ever vigilant, never letting their pursuit of progress blind them to the risks of unchecked growth. The galaxy's future would not be determined by the pursuit of dominance or by acquiring more knowledge for the sake of it. It would be defined by how the galaxy learned to balance ambition with humility, progress with responsibility. The Deathworlders had shown the galaxy how to unite, but now it was time to learn how to protect that unity from the dangers of their own potential. The Galactic Council resolved to establish a new system, a Council of Preservation, charged with ensuring that any new discovery, any new technology, was carefully examined for its long-term impact. Every advancement would be weighed against the lessons of the past, and no species, no matter how powerful, would be allowed to pursue unchecked power. The galaxy had evolved from a fractured collection of civilizations into a united collective, but now, as they reached ever higher into the stars, they had learned that the true test of their unity would not be how far they could go, but how carefully they could navigate the immense responsibility of their power. And so, under the watchful eyes of the Deathworlders and their allies, the galaxy would continue its journey, a journey not toward conquest or domination, but toward true understanding, balance, and wisdom.